Hi, everybody. My name is Anjana Swaminathan, and on May 13th, 2022, at the Library of Congress, my new work, Surrender to the Adventure, will be premiered by Johnny Gendelsman. The piece was commissioned and will be co presented by Washington Performing Arts. The inspiration for the work is kind of a long story. Johnny approached me about a longer project called This Is America and told me that he wanted to invite as many American composers as possible to reflect on the times. At the time, I was kind of in a space where I no longer wanted to write about rebellion. I no longer wanted to write about politics. It was getting to a place where justice was becoming so frequent in my life that it felt like I had no separation and I needed music to be a refuge from that. And as I was thinking about it, something that I really wanted to work on was a piece about my partner. My partner is a queer Black woman. I identify as non binary, I'm South Asian. And I really wanted to center on the beauty of queer love. But at the same time, I couldn't just allow it to be in a vacuum. Our love doesn't exist in a vacuum. And I think it's so easy for people to witness it and receive it and be focused on all the joy and sort of faith in humanity that our love brings. But people often forget the fear and the tension of being people of color, being queer, being femmes in America, and dealing with various other oppressions. I'm disabled, neurodivergent, the list kind of goes on. So what I decided was there is no way that I can write a piece that fits a theme. This is America, because there is no is with America. It feels like it's a constant sort of moving storm, ever changing. There are moments of absolute joy, but at any moment, as we've seen in this week, our rights can be ripped away. And so it was important to me to allow our love and the intimacy and the joy and the sort of like perfect little, I almost think of like a snow globe that we live in, to still be situated within the turmoil and the oppression and the pain and the privilege and the beauty and all of that of existing and being in love in America. In terms of the improvisatory nature, I've been really working on alternative modes of creating composition. I came from an oral tradition, South Indian Carnatic music, and I also studied Hindustani music. And my experience with the violin is it's very much in my heart. It's very much in my ears. It's very much in my body. I'm not accustomed to reading music in order to perform it. And so because of that, I wanted Johnny and anyone who performs this piece to experience the visceral, internal tension, joy, sort of liminality of being between these worlds of being queer and experiencing love while also experiencing the turmoil of being in America. So during the course of the performance, Johnny is actually responding to two elements. One is auditory, which is intimate conversations between my partner Shannon and I as we discuss our plants. We had 27 plants in our apartment in New York, and they represent so much about our love. They represent so much about mental health. They represent so much about growth, and they all came into our lives at various points in our journey of being in love and responding especially to the pandemic. And so I really wanted the audience and Johnny's ears to be kind of flooded with an almost saccharine sort of beauty that I feel flooded with when I'm alone with my partner, when we're just basking in love. And alongside that, he's also looking at images, which I believe you'll be able to see in projections of paintings that I created based on various phrases that are often, considered very intrinsically American, be they, the pursuit of happiness. Some of these phrases that have been kind of sold to us and told to us in the indoctrination that is education in this country, to really tell us and prove to us that America is a land of freedom, that America is a place where everyone is just going to thrive, etc. And the coexistence of that and what it can represent to Black and brown people can often be violent. And I knew that no matter when Johnny or any other person performed this piece, the country would be in a different space, because we are going through wild change. We've just, inaugurated the first ever Black woman into the Supreme Court, and within a few weeks, we're getting abortion rights potentially torn away from us. We're frightened as we also celebrate new successes, as we celebrate radical transformation in this country. It's a constant fight. And I wanted whoever plays it, especially for Johnny as a white man to be playing it, I wanted him to kind of experience that tension. So the way that the piece is written, it has a few phrases that he can pull from, but there's also a set of what I call transformations. They're a set of instructions for play. So you can take the palette and you can transform it in all kinds of different ways. But the hope is that he can really immerse himself and respond in the moment. And I even just wrote to him saying, hey, the country is in a big place right now. I hope you can channel that leading towards May 13th. And I'm really excited to see how that happens. In terms of nature, yeah, it's actually, all of it is just words between myself and my partner, Shannon. We are reflecting on our plants. We are reflecting on botany, the beauty of botany, the things that Mother Earth can teach us about how to be better humans, because after all, human beings are just natural beings, and everything from how we dress to gender to race to the government is a construct that has limited our potential and kept us from being these unique, abundant, ever-present beings like plants. So, in terms of text, it's not actually borrowed from any kind of specific text. It's just my partner and I in bed meditating out loud, sometimes getting emotional, sometimes feeling more in love as we laugh about our plants, which have all these funny names starting with P. And yeah, in terms of the intersection of Western and Indian classical music, I never think of it as I'm Indian and I'm in this like Western space, America in and of itself is not really, it's not a melting pot or a salad bowl, right? People often say it's gumbo. A lot of critical race theorists talk about it being more like gumbo because you can feel the flavor of each individual ingredient while also ingesting this like massive soup, and I think for me it's not so much about converging the two styles. It's really about presenting myself as I exist, as I am. I'm not, when I go into life, I'm not thinking, what percentage of Indianness am I going to bring in? What percentage of Americanness am I going to bring in? I'm constantly always both. And each of those two identities are not pure on their own. They're hybrid within themselves, right? So it's really thinking about how my musical expression combines everything that I am. It is queer, it is disabled, it is mentally ill, it is trans, it is brown, it is in love, it is often in pain, and it really encompasses all of that. I really hope that during the piece you can surrender. It is going to be an adventure. Surrender to the adventure is the inscription on my partner's engagement ring that I gave her. And the reason I gave her that inscription is because throughout our relationship, as we have dealt with the utter pain and confusion of potentially not being able to do the things that we rely on doing to be happy, questions around whether we can be married, questions around healthcare, we always kind of turn to each other and say, you know what? As long as it's the two of us, it's going to be okay. And there's a feeling of surrender and there's a feeling of exploration in that I invite you to feel as you go through it. Think about what America is right now. Think about what it brings up for you. Don't just witness our love and allow it to fill you with a breath of fresh air. Allow it to be the complex thing it is. That's kind of my spiel. Thank you so much.